Hi, I'm Jazmin, and I'm just gonna be reading. Shammy lucks out today. So yeah. Timber hollered Norm and Oliver at the top of their lungs. Shammy didn't even flinch when the giant oak tree came crashing down behind him with the ground shaking thud. Nope. He didn't even notice. He didn't even raise one eyebrow. He just kept on going, head down, shoulder slumped. Moving one big black boot in front of the other. Oliver and Norm had been helping Oliver's forest ranger parents clear a new area of Camp Moonlight, the summer camp for cryptozoological creatures. They rushed forward, concerned. They hadn't seen Shammy until the tree was already falling. "Are you okay?" Oliver asked. "Didn't you hear a warning?" asked Norm. "You're lucky you were standing where you were. That tree almost hit you." Shammy flipped his long green streaked bangs from over his right eye and waved them off with a frown. "That tree wouldn't have hit me. I'm lucky. Too lucky." "Oh," said Norm. He observed Shammy's dark green coat and the black four-leaf clover pinned to his hat. "You're a leprechaun?" Yep, said Shammy. "Name's Shammy. I'm Norm, and this is Oliver." "Why so glum, Shammy?" Norm asked. Shammy sighed. "It's this whole luck thing. I'm always lucky." Oliver was confused. "Wait, why is it a problem? Why is that a problem exactly?" Shammy sighed and pulled a gold coin out of his pocket. "Watch, I'm calling heads." The leprechaun tossed the coin into the air, caught it, and slapped it onto the back of his other hand. Sure enough, it was heads. He did it again. Tails, it was tails. And again, heads. And again, heads. He was right every time, and every time. "I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10, said Oliver. 4. "Between 1 and 20, 11. Between 483, rock, paper, scissors," said Norm. "Sure," said Shammy. Norm put his fist out to play rock. Shammy threw paper. "Best out of 3, Norm asked. Shammy beat him 3 times, then 5 times, then 7 times. "Wow, that's amazing," said Oliver. "It's awful," moaned Shammy. "I'm so lucky that I can't even enjoy my favorite thing anymore." "Oh," said Norm. "And what's that?" "Board games," said Shammy. "The unicorns are getting together for game night, and they won't let me play because I win every time." Oliver's thought for a moment. "I can see how that would be frustrating." Right, agreed Shammy. "For then," said Oliver. Shammy groaned. "I have an idea," said Oliver. "Shammy always has ideas. Everyone always has ideas," said Shammy. "No, really," said Oliver. "I think I know how to help you be less lucky." Shammy looked up at Oliver through his bangs. "Seriously," Oliver said. "By the time we're finished with you, you'll be losing every game you play." Shammy smiled a wide smile. Perhaps he thought he'd get lucky and for once become unlucky. "Step 1, said Oliver. "It is to get some of your luck to rub off on others." "How do we do that?" Norm asked. "Simple," said Oliver. "We just need some lucky charms like this one." He held up a horseshoe and thrust it into Shamy's hands. "A horseshoe?" asked Norm. "Where did you get that, and why is it lucky?" "I traded with a centaur for it. Now I only have 1 hiking boot," Oliver replied. "And I don't know why it's lucky. I don't make the rules." Oliver leaned in closer to Shammy. "How do you feel?" Shammy tossed his coin up into the air. "Heads," called Norm. "Tails," shouted Oliver. "Neither," said Shammy. The coin landed on the ground, standing on its edge. "Still lucky," said Shammy. Oliver tucked a shiny lucky penny into Shamy's sock. He hung a set of fuzzy dice around his neck. He placed a wishbone on top of Shamy's hat, and when Hazel came hopping by, Oliver stopped her. "Hazel," he said, "we need your foot." "I'm kind of attached to it," she said. She held her foot up in the air and wiggled it around. A lucky's rabbit foot," Norm said. "Not yet," said Oliver. "Hazel." "Yes?" "Oh, wait." Norm said, "Not yet," said Oliver. "Wait, no, a lucky's rabbit foot," Norm said. "Not yet," said Oliver. "Hazel, yes?" "Rub your foot on Shammy." Weird," said Hazel. "And who's Shammy?" "Oh, right, Shammy, this is Hazel. Hazel, Shammy. Okay, now rub your foot on him," Oliver said. "Yeah, still weird," Hazel replied. "We're trying to get some of Shamy's luck to rub off," said Oliver. "And then your foot will be lucky," said Norm. "Really?" asked Hazel. "Well, in theory," said Oliver. "One lucky foot coming up," she said. Shammy jumped back and raised his arm so Hazel rubbed her foot under Shammy's armpit. "That tickles," Shammy said. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 20, said Oliver. 7, Oliver smiled. 7, Oliver smiled. Teen, finished Jamie. Oliver's smile disappeared. Correct, but Jamie didn't know it right away, said Norm. True, said Oliver. We're getting closer. It's time for step 2. Oh, said Hazel. Step 2. Wait, what's step 2? Can I put all this stuff down now, Oliver? Said Jamie. It's getting really heavy. Yes, of course. Hazel held up her foot and sniffed it. It smells so lucky, she whispered. Quickly, said Oliver. Follow me before Shamy's luck starts coming back. Oliver led them back to Camp Moonlight, where a ladder stretched up to one of the treehouse cabins. Under the ladder, Shamy, Oliver said. Walking under a ladder is very unlucky. Shamy walked under the ladder. Oliver led them to cabin 3 and handed Shamy an umbrella and a salt shaker. What do I do with these? Shamy asked. Hazel peered up at the sky. Looks sunny and nice to me. Ooh, those clouds. What do you see? I see a draft, a castle, some pudding. It's unlucky to open an umbrella indoors, said Oliver. It's also unlucky to spill salt. Who knew, said Hazel. You're pretty smart, Oliver, said Norm. Well, said Shamy, if you really think it'll work. While Shamy was inside the cabin spilling salt and opening the umbrella, Oliver asked Norm to paint a 1 in front of the 3 on the cabin door. The unluckiest number, Oliver said with a grin. Norm pointed to a black cat that crossed Shamy's path as he stepped out of cabin 13. It's working, he said. Thunder rumbled above and dark rain clouds formed directly over the group. Suddenly the clouds let loose a torrent of rain. Everyone was drenched, even the black cat, everyone except Shamy. Lucky for me, I have this umbrella, said Shamy sadly. Overstretched his head. Yes, but not to worry. On to step 3. How many steps are there? Hazel asked. 3, guessed Oliver. 3 is a good number, said Hazel. What's step 3? Well, I'm not sure, said Oliver. I'm running out of ideas. That's it, Norm said. What's it? Oliver asked. You're running out of ideas, said Norm, and Shamy is running out of luck. But we need him to completely run out before his luck recharges. Norm had an idea. He whispered to Oliver. Excellent plan, Norm, Oliver said. Norm looked at Hazel. Oliver looked at Hazel. Shamy wasn't sure why, but everyone else was looking at Hazel, so he did too. Why is everyone looking at me? Hazel asked. How's your foot feel? Norm asked. Super lucky, said Hazel. And you like to race, right? Asked Norm. Oh boy, I love races, Hazel said. Well, now's your chance, said Norm. You're against Shamy. First one to pick a spot, Oliver. Okay, that's Bush. Oliver pointed. First one to pluck that fuzzy purple flower. That purple flower? Shamy asked. Yes, said Oliver, that purple flower. Whoever plucks. But the purple flower is. What? That purple flower off of that bush, continued Oliver, and brings it. You really don't want that purple flower, said Shamy. It's back here is the winner, said Oliver. And if we're lucky, said Norm, Shamy will run out of luck. Right out of it, said Oliver. He's gonna run from it, said Norm. No more luck, said Oliver. Hazel cracked her knuckles. What's the winner get, huh? $1 million, a trip to the moon, a lifetime supply of banana bread. The winner gets, Oliver finished through his pockets. He reached his vest. He reached down and picked up a smooth stone, this rock. Shamy looked confused. Hazel, on the other hand, was very excited. Ooh, me, she said. I want it. It will be my pet rock and I'll love it forever. Get ready, said Oliver. Hazel got ready. Hazel, listen, said Shamy. Get set, said Oliver. Hazel got set. You don't want to. Go. Hazel took off like a rocket. Shamy ran as fast as he could after her, but he was nowhere near as fast. She was already at the bush, plucking the fuzzy purple flower before he was even halfway there. It's working, Oliver shouted. You're going to lose, said Norm. Hazel raced by Shamy, holding the flower in her teeth. Shamy yelled, No, don't. Whee! She called through clenched teeth, racing back to the starting point and tagging Norm's hand. And the winner is Hazel, said Norm. Shamy jogged back to Norm, Oliver and Hazel panting. His boots were not made for this. See, Norm said, it worked. You weren't lucky this time. You lost. Yes, said Oliver. Better luck next time. Hazel handed him the flower, and he gave her the stone. She clutched it to her chest and smiled. I'm going to call him Simon, she said, and I'd like to thank my mom and my dad and my super lucky rabbit's foot, she added, holding up the foot she rubbed under Shammy's armpit. I was trying to warn you, Shammy said. It's lucky for me I didn't win. What's that? asked Oliver. Because that fuzzy purple flower Oliver is holding is called Itchy Petals, said Shammy. That's what I was trying to tell you. It makes you break out, and suddenly a bright purple splotch appeared on Hazel's cheek. Then another and another. Purple hives, finished Shammy. Oliver's hands were covered in itchy purple spots as well. And you, Oliver, said Shammy. Norm held up the hand that Hazel had tagged her on her way to finish the line. It too was covered in purple welts. And you, Norm, said Shammy. Hazel ran in circles, scratching her cheek. It's so itchy, she cried. Norm hopped around, howling and scratching. Oliver dashed for the lake, holding his swollen, itchy hands out in front of him. Yee-woo, cried Oliver, plunging himself into the water. Huh, said Shammy. I guess being lucky isn't so bad after all. Soaks those welts in milkberry juice, and you'll feel better in no time. Thanks for helping me. Shammy skipped away through the woods, chancing upon the unicorns in their board game. Lucky for him, they were one player short. And yeah, I finished the book. So yeah, bye.